Okay. Um, Almost couldn't figure out how to get this to be horizontal because they changed the settings a little bit, moved some things around, so I was having trouble navigating my usual stuff. But it's horizontal, I'm centered, very picky about it, if you couldn't tell, and everything seems to be in place. So, let's get started. Um, So this is a show that I do every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time called Fallen World. I do another show on my on my other channel called I feel like I'm going to burp again. Philosophical Psychology. Link to that channel is in the description. On that show, I do it every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and that one's called Just Between Us. That is more in-depth, casual discussion, could go for any amount of time. Fallen World is more topic-oriented and focused and just to the point, just kind of covering a specific thing. So, this week I'm talking about parasocial relationships. I might go more in depth on the same topic on Sunday, but I might also talk about something completely different. I have a couple different ideas. I usually just improvise, but the Friday topics are usually the ones that have more substance. I was pretty proud of the one that I did about parenting recently. I think I called it Protecting Children. That is definitely worth watching. I would check that out. Um, Last week I talked about the afterlife, so that's also kind of interesting. Um, Today I'm talking about parasocial relationships, and there are a few specific incidents that inspired this, but just in general, what I like to do on this channel is I like to say things that I don't really hear a lot of people saying. So I'm not going to make a video and just say what everyone else is saying about it, just say obvious shit. That to me is boring, and you could find that somewhere else. You've probably already seen it. What you can expect to find here is genuinely useful information and a different perspective that, just gets you thinking a little bit more, because that's what I'm constantly doing. I'm always thinking and I'm always learning and making sure that I'm sharing whatever I learn. So, um, let's get right into this. There were a couple people that I could have mentioned. If I wanted to get more views or attention or whatever, I could probably name names. Um, but I'm not going to bother doing that in the title because this is just part of a series that I want to do. If I do make an attempt to get more views and put someone's name in the title, I could probably just do that separate from the show, and then it would just be the title. Like, I did a video about a year ago that actually did go viral, and I was met with a ton of hatred, which is actually kind of ironic because I was called parasocial for defending someone who was being, canceled. And it helped me navigate my opinions on cancel culture and a lot of stuff like that that I think has just been kind of normalized and people are a little bit desensitized to it. And I've always gone with my intuition on everything. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't, and I'll figure out why later. And it doesn't help when someone just yells at you and says that you're wrong and doesn't really want to explain it. Doesn't mean I don't get it. Sometimes people have controversial opinions, and everyone thinks their opinions are the only correct opinions. And sometimes people feel like their opinions are being met with unfair criticism, which that is also valid, because think about a time when it was popular to be racist. If you weren't racist, you might feel like your opinions were being met with unfair criticism, and that would be completely accurate. However, there are people who feel like their opinions are being met with unfair criticism, and they themselves are the racists. So, you know what I mean? Like, it could go either way, but just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean things are a certain way, but it doesn't mean necessarily that they aren't. It literally just depends on what it is. Because I believe that there is right and wrong. And that's why I try to go with my intuition, because that never lets me down. People change their minds. People are inconsistent. And my intuition is unwavering. So that is consistently more reliable. It has a better track record than just trusting what other people tell me to do. People change constantly, and I've seen a lot of change. I'm only 22 years old, but since I was a kid, the narrative, the popular narrative has changed quite a bit. What people are taught in schools, the way people think. There's been an increase in therapy language lately. A lot of this stuff has evolved over the last few years, even the last like 5 or 6 years. There's been so much substantial change, and that's why you can't just take people's word for it. You have to think for yourself. That's how we achieved that change in the first place, is thinking for ourselves. So we have to be willing to acknowledge the aspects of our society that don't work, that just are not going well. Um, so, yeah, regarding cancel culture, I've always felt like there was something off about the way that things are handled. And what I really see, I think some of the negative aspects of it are the way that um, people go really parasocial. And I hear the term parasocial relationship used typically in the context of something positive, like I'm in love with this person and it's completely one-sided. They don't know I exist, but I know that they exist, and Dave is here again. Well, his name isn't really Dave. For anybody who doesn't know, an old subscriber who has a bunch of fake accounts and fake names and fake profiles, and he's obsessed with me and a bunch of other YouTubers like me, and just like smaller streamer channels mainly. And he just comments weird shit. And I told him to leave me alone, but he won't. He won't admit that he's the same person either. You know who you are, dude. Don't play dumb with me. Anyway, I'm not gonna engage with this person because he's a parasite. And I can't seem to shake him off like a leech. I just, no matter how many times I try, he'll just keep finding new accounts and just keep, leaving comments. So anyway, I'm gonna not let that derail me. We're talking about parasocial relationships, which incidentally is actually quite applicable to the Dave situation, because that is a parasocial relationship. I could give less of a shit that he exists. I don't know him, you know. I've never seen what he looks like. He's sent me a bunch of fake pictures for some reason, and he's lied to me. I don't know a single true thing about the guy. I don't know his real name. Don't know his age. Don't know what he looks like. Don't know where he lives. Nothing. And the only thing that I know for sure about him is that he's nuts. He seems to be a Christian and a Trump supporter, and he has like no social boundaries and a million fake accounts, and loves commenting on small streamers around my age, and just commenting on their channels and saying weird shit. That's generally what he does. And that is a perfect example of the kind of parasocial relationship you usually hear about, is like someone who's in love or obsessed with someone, but it's entirely one-sided. And that was what he used to do with his Dave account. He would constantly comment on my videos, and he would be like, "Oh my god, I love you, Tristan," and he would constantly try to ask me out and act like we were together. He would talk about me like we were together. He would comment and make it sound like I was with him. He'd tell people I was a Trump supporter, which I'm not. And I'm not going to talk about that in today's video, but it's my business. And if you have questions, you can check out my other videos. I have talked about it on my other channel. And I might talk about it on this channel. That might be a good idea for maybe next week's topic. I could explain why I stand where I do politically, instead of just talking about it like it's obvious, because, it isn't to some people, to be fair. But he would just comment weird shit and leave people with an inaccurate impression of me, and I would have to always see these comments and just, react accordingly and be like, oh, okay. He just generally weirded me out. And then eventually, because he was always trying to talk to me, I was like, if you have somewhere that we can talk, that's fine. But he's like, no, I don't believe in social media, weird shit. And eventually he got Discord, so I talked to him there. I was like, I want to see what you look like. He sent me a picture. I reverse image searched it, and I was like, this is not real. And he's like, yes, it is. And then, he sent me another picture, and it was a totally different person. And he's like, this is really me. And I'm like, clearly it's not. He's like, reverse image search it out. Nothing will come up. And I'm like, yeah, nothing came up, but that doesn't convince me it's you. it was like a ridiculously low quality picture that looked like a stock photo or maybe like a screenshot from a movie or something. He must have found some way to make it so that it wouldn't come up in reverse image search, but it for sure was not him. And then I made a video calling him out, and the person who's commenting on this video right now commented on that video and tried to defend him. And at the time, I didn't know that it was him from another account, but he left a comment on my last video talking about Trump, and I could tell that it was him. I was like, oh, it's Dave for sure. And then his channel name, this other account that he has, is named after another streamer that he follows. So I went over to that account and I looked at his comments, and the comments are totally the way Dave talks, talking about sleep streams and telling him weird shit. So I was like, okay, now I'm 100% sure it's Dave. But Dave isn't even his real name, so it doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm just going to ignore this guy's comments. He's still commenting. He's going to delete his comments, by the way. So just, if you look and they aren't there, that's what happens. Because Dave will comment on my live streams from his other accounts. He's got an account called The Real Cynthia, Trent Briggs. He's got a bunch of accounts. And every time he comments on my live streams, he deletes them before the stream is over. So don't expect to see them, but just don't worry about it. It is relevant to today's topic, so I'm not going to dwell on it. But that's typically what people think of a parasocial relationship as. You're obsessed with someone in a way that's more you're in love with them. But I would like to argue that parasocial relationships can also be hatred. You can also actively hate someone in a way that is completely one-sided. And you may even try to make it not one-sided, to the point where you're like showing up at their house, you're trying to attack them. Your hatred for them, as much as they might try to ignore it, is becoming harder and harder to ignore. I still want to see what he's saying, so let me just... You seem a bit paranoid. Jesus Christ. I'm not paranoid, as you can tell. I'm barely even acknowledging that you're there. It's, like I said, one-sided. I could give less of a shit what the creep behind Dave and all his other accounts wants to do with his life. I think he's insane. I think he needs some serious professional help, and I don't feel responsible for making that happen because he's a complete stranger. And like I said, he's a parasite. He's just a horrible, horrible person. But, I don't care, though. I'm sorry, I lose my train of thought very easily. I don't care what he does. It's his business. I tried to be his friend. I tried to give him the benefit of the doubt. I tried to give him advice and talk to him about why it's wrong to be dishonest. And, there was nothing I could do. The reality of it is his mental health is just in shambles, and that's his mess to clean up. There's nothing I can do. I almost feel like he needs professional help. He needs someone, caring for him. I almost feel like he shouldn't be allowed on the internet. He needs someone else in his life that's like, monitoring what he does. He shouldn't just have complete freedom because he could potentially be dangerous. I don't know what he's capable of, but he's definitely very, very mentally ill. And that's it's his business. There's nothing I can do about it except just make sure that I'm protecting myself. So I'm just gonna ignore it. I don't feel like I'm in any danger. I don't feel like he's gonna do anything to me. In my opinion, the worst he can do is just be annoying and leave comments. He's threatened to try to sabotage my videos by, I don't know, leaving a bunch of dislikes on them from all his accounts or something. But I don't think that would really make a difference. If I actually had a truly successful viral video, that would still hold up even if it had a bunch of dislikes. And I know this because I made a video about a canceled YouTuber a year ago, and it had a ton of dislikes, and it still got a ton of views. It's negative attention, but attention nonetheless. So, and YouTube just reads it as it's the algorithm. I got a ton of views on the videos I made after that, for a little while. So clearly YouTube doesn't care, so I'm not worried about it. I know that if I make good enough content and it goes viral, this guy isn't going to be able to stop me. It kind of sounds like you don't like people. Anyway, I have learned from my past that engaging with Dave's comments just gets me annoyed and frustrated and doesn't amount to anything. So I'm not going to do that. I know it's Dave because it's the same energy. You know, the comments just make me feel the same way, has the same type of tone. There's no getting around it. You know, and any normal person would have clicked off by now if he really wasn't Dave. But like I said, I was 100% convinced it was Dave when I went over to that other streamer that he has his channel named after, and I saw the comments he was leaving there. But yeah, no one is Dave. He says, bruh, I'm not Dave. No one is Dave. Dave is not a real person. You know, it's a fake name. Just like Trent Briggs is a fake name. These are all fake names. You know, but you are the same person, you know? You know who you are, dude. Come on. You're the same person that had a conversation with me and I called you a catfish and you sent me a bunch of fake pictures. You know who you are. And you know I know who you are. And you're not going to convince me otherwise. Because I don't believe lies. I found this channel like 2 weeks ago. Well, that is a straight up lie. Because you left a comment on this channel on a video that I made about the catfish incident with Dave. And you left that comment trying to defend Dave, which should have been my first clue that you were the same person, but yeah, so that's just a lie. And I've decided to no longer read the comments. Let's focus on what I'm saying. Sorry, Dave, I'm not going to be paying attention to you. Whatever your real name is. I wish I knew. I wish I could find you and give you a good hard slap in the face. And remove your internet access so that you can't do this to people. And you might actually instead focus on your own life. But, I'm with Dallas Galley anyway. Oh, that poor YouTuber. Oh my god. Oh god. I gotta go see if I can reach out to him and warn him about you. Anyway. It's insane shit. So let's focus. I want to wrap this up. This really shouldn't take too long because my thoughts on this are not that complicated. I think that when people talk about parasocial relationships, they really overdo it and make it sound like it has to be this type of shit, you know, this kind of obsession from a fan. But it isn't just that. It isn't just people telling you that they're in love with you and they want to be with you, or being like, like sexually explicit with you and saying really inappropriate things and making you uncomfortable. Well, you don't know they exist. A bunch of unopened DMs and comments that you don't read and creepy shit like that, that sometimes you might see and it might make you uncomfortable. I'm talking about, think of all the channels that are there to just make commentary, right? On, like, they're there to get everybody riled up. There's a channel, I don't remember his name, but it's probably better that I don't be, like, ratting on people, because I am not in the business of starting a hate campaign. If you couldn't tell, that's not my interest. Because, you know, regarding the Dave character, my focus is more on warning people about the fact that there is this parasite who makes whose true identity and personality, well, not personality, but unfortunately his personality shines through quite clearly, but his true identity is completely concealed. And, you know, he tries to deceive people, so people should be warned about that kind of a parasite. But regarding actual human beings who make their identities known and are, you know, known public figures, there is no reason to start a hate campaign against them. Again, when I mentioned Donald Trump earlier, I'm not trying to start a hate campaign against him. I am just trying to make it known that he is a dangerous person, and what he intends to do with his power will cause a lot of problems and result in a lot of suffering, pain, and I think even death. But in general, it will strip people of their freedom and autonomy in every way imaginable. So that is something to warn people of. And it's not like I'm saying, go get your pitchforks and your torches and go attack this person. He's evil. What I'm saying is, watch your back. This is a dangerous person. Protect yourself. It's more about your own empowerment and self-protection than about attacking someone because they're bad. And I see a lot of YouTube channels who love drama, and every day they're constantly covering smaller YouTubers, and they're constantly like, oh, this person did this worst TikTok husband ever, or oh my god, you wouldn't believe how disgusting this guy is. There's this one guy I saw who just has like a thumbnail of his face, and he gets like millions of views, and I think he knows that he's like conventionally attractive, and I think that's kind of the appeal. He just has his face on the video with a thumbnail of like the worst cheater husband ever or something on TikTok, or you wouldn't believe what this TikTok mom did, or this YouTuber did this, or and I went to his channel and I was thinking, is this just his whole channel? Is this just what he does? He gets people riled up. And then you look at the comments and everyone's like, oh my god, that's horrible. I can't believe someone would do that. And everyone's just angry. So he's just like fueling hatred and getting everybody riled up and angry, which is not healing, not helpful, not productive in any way. It's just adding fuel to the fire and making people angry and feeling self-righteous. It fulfills that need for, I want to feel like a better person than somebody else. And he capitalizes off of that. And he is one of many. There are like I've lost count. There's dozens and dozens of YouTubers who do this. It's like a thing, it's a type of YouTube content creator. And there are a ton of smaller channels that try to do this too, and they become bigger because of it, because people love drama. And I went to his channel and I thought, it'd be, if I could find a video on here of someone that I know and support and him trying to tear that person apart, it'd be kind of funny, because then I could feel even more confident that what he's doing is wrong. And I wasn't expecting to see anything, because like I said, I did this with another YouTuber a year ago, and I wasn't expecting anybody new, because I don't think I really follow anybody who has been canceled, or, at least for a valid reason. And I saw someone I knew right away, and I was like, wait a minute, really? People are canceling her? So I'm talking about Caroline Constner. I don't know how many people have heard of her. She isn't huge, but she had a couple viral videos a few years ago, and she doesn't make videos that often, but she has a very satirical attitude. She was like 15 when she went viral, so she's pretty young, and she's just got a very like dark sense of humor, and just like, I don't know how to describe her personality. Let me just catch up in these comments real quick, because I'm just curious what was being said. So what did Dave do to you? Our economy thrived under Trump. Biden destroyed it. Biden has dementia. Well, that is true. Biden does have dementia. But, you really have no idea what you're talking about with the Trump and Biden shit. That is just not accurate. I think what I've found is that 100% of the people who support Trump are just uneducated. I have never, ever met a Trump supporter who was supporting him with a complete arsenal of knowledge on the truth and what's actually going on. They either just lack information or they have misinformation. They've just been lied to or misinformed in some way. There is no such thing as a Trump supporter who is truly educated on 100% true and accurate information. If you had that, you would never support him, because you would realize how dangerous he is. And that is something I can say confidently, that's something no one will ever disprove, because it's just true. So sometimes I say things and I'm like, oh, is this someday going to be disproven? And then there's some things that it's like, no, there's absolutely no way. Like, for example, no one's ever going to disprove gravity. Like, you know what I mean? It's that level of confident that I can just say, yeah, gravity exists. I'm not floating around in the air. There is a pull pulling everyone and everything toward the center of the earth. But there are flat earthers, and they are just uneducated or misinformed. And that's all that I can say about it. A flat earther, in my mind, is the same as a Trump supporter. They're the same level of misinformed and uneducated. And they often are driven by a sense of self-righteousness and hatred. There's this fire in their brains that's just very, very toxic and unhealthy. Gas, groceries, and housing has skyrocketed under Biden. It's basic facts. Yeah, that actually has more to do with COVID and lack of products. And the reason for that has absolutely nothing to do with Biden. Biden isn't sitting in the White House deciding to raise prices on things. The companies do that. And a lot of them did it illegally, because you're only supposed to do that if the cost of, you don't have as much product to sell, so you have to raise the prices or whatever. But a lot of companies just decided, hey, everybody else is raising their prices, I'll just do it too. Biden cannot be blamed for that. I don't know why people blame him. It's completely coincidental that it happened with him in the office. And I almost wish Trump had won in 2020 just so that, people could realize things would not be any different. Things would actually be a lot worse right now if Trump had won in 2020. But at least he would be done. At least we'd be nearing the end of his 8-year total, and there'd be no chance of him getting elected again. But I think there are some people who are afraid that he'll change the way that works and that he'll want to just be the president forever. I don't think that's going to happen. If he wins, he's getting 4 more years maximum. There's no way. And he's old. He might not even make it that long. Biden might not even make it that long. He was just diagnosed with COVID a couple days ago. They're both like at death's door. Although unfortunately, Trump does seem to be doing a lot better than Biden. Although someone just made an attempt on his life the other day. So I'm not getting into this right now. But my point is neither of them are guaranteed to live that long in the first place, which is why it's so depressing that we're relying on them to make decisions that are going to impact like decades ahead. They're making decisions that are going to impact our future, a future they won't be alive for. That is a little alarming, because do they really have a stake in it? Do they really care? Probably not. But we already know that the people that are in charge don't seem to care about us. Your leaders don't care about you. That's just the reality of it. And it's evident in their behavior. His spending and environmental plan caused the inflation. Okay, well, I'm not having this discussion with you right now. Like I said, you need to do your own research and you need to understand there is a lot of misinformation going on. But there is no denying our leaders do not actually care about us. Biden has done a lot of things that I do not support. And I think in general, I don't even know how much of it is actually him, because the guy can barely hold a thought. He tries to talk about things and just ends up stumbling over his words. He seems like, he isn't really capable of running a country. And I wonder sometimes what's really going on behind the scenes. How many people are like helping him? Because if it's just him doing this stuff by himself, and he can't even speak by himself, I don't know. But it doesn't matter. It remains true that the leaders that we trust don't actually care about us. They just want to increase their own power and wealth at the expense of everybody else. And for a long time, people have just been kind of passively accepting that and just okay with it, and it's just not healthy. It's not healthy. Never was. You need to take your power back and say, you know what, this is wrong. There is a lot of disinformation, which is intentional misinformation, floating around that Americans just eat up. And even leftist and like woke Americans, a lot of them too are also quite unaware of the reality of what goes on in other countries, and because there's just this rhetoric of like America is all about freedom and America this and America that. America seems to think that it's the center of the world, and it's delusional, but it benefits the people in power. So there's nothing you can really do about it besides try to educate people and empower people. And that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to get back on topic and ignore Dave's insane Trump-obsessed comments. So basically, regarding this YouTuber that got canceled, my first thought was, why is she getting canceled? What did she do? Somebody said agree. All right, well, I don't know who you are, Honesty Minds, but thank you. Unless you're talking about agreeing with Dave, in which case, don't stress me out. I'm not going to engage. I'm not in the mood to argue right now. This is meant to be an educational video on my more brief to the point channel. This isn't the discussion channel. The link to that is in the description. So I'm just going to try my best to focus. Oh. Yep. Well, that is not his real name. I don't know his real name. Nobody does. He's just a troll. He's a parasite. And he's a creep who has some serious mental health issues. So you don't really want to be agreeing with him. It's not good. Not a good look. So anyway, Um, where was I? Oh yeah. So I thought, how can you be canceling her? What did she do? And I watched it, and it was fascinating how people spun the narrative for Caroline Constner. I forgot I told you her name. So she did a video where she announced that she was pregnant. She came back after being gone for a while, and she was like, "I'm pregnant." And she made this really convincing video, and I thought, this is odd. This doesn't seem like her. She doesn't seem like the kind of person who would want to be a mother. But then the video just seemed so convincing that I was like, hmm. Uh, this is not, um, I'm sorry, these comments are getting in my head. Dave called me rude, and I have a tendency to internalize things like that, which, again, is actually quite relevant. So let me just get focused. Okay, let me just shake it off, just clear my head. So, people have a tendency to internalize things just the way I did. That's a common thing, and people don't realize this. When you spend all of your time and energy attacking someone, so what happened with Caroline Constner is she made a video saying she was pregnant, people believed her, and people started leaving all these comments supporting her. Oh my God, congratulations, you're a mother. When I was a mother, I blah, blah, blah. And then she made a video a couple weeks later saying, I lost the baby, with this like goofy, sad look in the thumbnail, and it was clear that she was saying I faked the pregnancy. She never tried to imply that she had a miscarriage. That was never ever implied. That was never something anyone was supposed to think from seeing that thumbnail. But then you watch the video, and she basically just explains that it was just kind of her just making a joke, just like her doing not really like a social experiment, but just sort of just playing around and just seeing if she could get some attention for it, which, is a little cynical, but it's honestly, it's very much something that she would do if you've seen her previous videos. It's on track with her personality. And I find it very ironic that she made this commentary about parasocial relationships, talking about how everyone was acting like they were obsessed with this real pregnancy, but none of it was real. She was able to effectively convince everyone that it was real because it was very good acting and everything about it seemed legitimate, and it wasn't. So she's just kind of like, I had you completely convinced that you were talking to a pregnant person, and you were wrong. So that should give you pause, that, like, you really don't know these people. You don't know them at all. You don't know how much of what you see on the internet is real. And when you try so hard to engage with them, they don't even know that you exist. And that is a reality people do not want to accept. But it goes hatred too, which is what she started to receive. People started saying she faked a miscarriage and spread. That's just misinformation. That's not accurate. She never faked she faked a pregnancy. She didn't fake a miscarriage. And people started trying to tear her apart. And I've watched people watch her video and, call her immature and break down her body language and be like, and I just think that this is like really immature and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm like, imagine if someone was picking you apart like this. Imagine how it would feel to have someone picking apart every single thing you do and rallying up an army of people to agree with you and attack this person. I had someone do this to me. I had a very, very small YouTube channel. Watch the video that I made defending a canceled YouTuber a year ago. This very small YouTube channel made a video about me, playing my whole video, commentating over everything I was saying, and got one of the most viewed videos on her channel. Got a ton of people in her comment section riled up and attacking me, saying horrible things about me. And I would call that parasocial. It may not be a romantic relationship, it may not be a positive relationship, but it is a relationship nonetheless. And it's a negative one. It's a relationship of hatred. It's an obsession where you're not like actively campaigning about me and tweeting about me, but you're leaving comments, you're engaging, and it's all negativity. It's not healthy, and it doesn't make me feel good, and it certainly wouldn't make you feel good, but you think it would never happen to you because you are always honest, and if you ever do anything dishonest, you can own up to it. And if anybody does try to cancel you, you'll know that you deserved it. And if you didn't deserve it, you'll be able to prove it. Well, what if you can't prove it? What if you don't deserve it? Which, personally, I don't think anybody deserves that kind of hatred. I don't think it helps or benefits in any kind of way. It certainly doesn't help the people doing it. Obviously, it doesn't help the person it's happening to. But let's just say, hypothetically, if you believe cancel culture is productive and behaving that way is healthy, what if you are being canceled for something you didn't do, but you can't prove that you didn't do it? There's no proof in either direction. It's just one person's word against yours. And everyone believes the other person, even though they're lying. And you know they're lying, they know they're lying, but you can't prove it. Then what? Do you still act like you just say, oh, okay, well, I guess I deserve to be, bullied off the internet? Absolutely not. So that is always wrong. And I think when people talk about parasocial relationships, they don't acknowledge that aspect of it enough. It's time to start canceling the cancelers. It's time to start deciding to leave more positive and empathetic comments on these YouTubers who are making videos basically just starting hate campaigns against other, celebrities. Start saying nicer things. Start being more positive. Or just stop engaging with these people entirely, and their channels will fall off, and they'll deserve it. That's karma, because if you build your brand on hatred, you don't deserve a brand. You deserve to have, the reality of the kind of pain and trauma you're causing in other people's lives to come back and bite you in the ass. And you won't like it. You won't like that no one is supporting you, or that people are talking about you like you aren't a very good person, because that's what you've been doing this whole time, and now it's happening to you. And you don't know what to do with yourself. Probably just give up and maybe start having some integrity instead. The irony of it all is that a lot of these people have to act like they're morally superior and virtuous and, righteous, whilst ironically doing things that are, in my opinion, not virtuous at all. All right, hold on a second. You don't even know me, Tristan. You're rude. Why do you keep calling me Dave? This is weird. I'm out. You gotta work on yourself, bud. Seems like you could work on being nice. You were being rude to Dallas. Okay, first of all, how many accounts do you have? Because I don't believe the person who just commented that is a new person. And let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you are. If you don't know why I was being rude to Dallas, Dallas is a creepy catfish with a million different fake accounts, and I think you may be one of them, because I don't know why anyone would speak on his defense. If, you observe the type of things that he does and says, I have a lot of reason to say, what I said is true. I'm Dave too, I guess. Okay, yeah, now I think you are. Because I don't know why else you would even know that. No, nobody should be defending Dave or Dallas, which isn't even that account's real name. There's another person. There's an actual YouTube live streamer named Dallas, that he's a fan of, and I went to his channel and found his comments on there, and I'm like, okay, it's Dave, 100%. And what reason do you have to not believe me? Unless you are also the same person behind those other creepy accounts. Just please get away from me. Get away from me. I do not need this shit. It's so insane. There have been days where I have no engagement on my live streams, and I think I kind of miss having Dave commenting the hearts and stuff, but then I think about it and I'm like, no, he commented weird, creepy shit, and every time he engages with me, it just brings me down. I hate him so much. I just, really, really wish that he didn't exist. I wish that the person behind those fake accounts did not have internet access. That's what I want. He needs to be in a straitjacket, and he needs medication, and therapy. He's, just so unhinged. So anyway, that aside, in short, my conclusion on parasocial relationships is, it isn't just love, it can also be hatred. And I actually think a loving parasocial relationship is less concerning. Even if you think that you're in a relationship with someone who you're never going to meet, That's not healthy, but it's a better alternative to being actively hateful against someone and, sending death threats and shit like that. And I think if you ever wonder if you're in a parasocial relationship with someone, but all you really do is give them support and positive comments and stuff, and you say nice things to them, I wouldn't worry about it because it's positively impacting you, right? I mean, it isn't making you feel worse when you watch them. You understand the reality that, they're not you. In general, just, have better healthy boundaries, but it is absolutely okay to, support people and leave them positivity. So you don't ever have to worry about being in a parasocial relationship. The fact that you'd be worried at all already tells me that you have enough self-awareness to not be that level of delusional. You haven't said anything bad he did to you. He sent you hearts? Oh, yes, yeah, for sure. That is Dave. Oh, goddamn. How many accounts? What is this one? Niles Stanton? Jesus Christ. I gotta make a list of all your accounts, dude. You have way too many. How are you even allowed to have that many? That's what makes it so annoying, is that I can't even block you because you'll just keep finding new ways to watch my channel. Leave me alone. Oh my God, leave me alone. Like, if I could change my name and make it impossible for you to find me, leave me alone. For the love of God. I am so tired of this. I don't want to change my name. I don't want to have a new channel that you can't find. And, I'm sure you eventually somehow would find it because you love watching unpopular channels. That's how you found me in the first place. But, it's you who needs to change. Leave me alone. I mean, I don't think there's anything I can do. I can't, oh man, I mean, if you committed a crime, I could probably get police involved. But I mean, at this point, it's harassment, if nothing else. It's unwanted, engagement. Just like constant. And why? Why me? Like, think you should take a break from streaming. No. Oh my God. Who are you? If not Dave, who are you and why are you saying shit? Just like so insane. Let this be an example to anybody who feels like they are in an unhealthy parasocial relationship. If you're better than Dave, you're fine. Okay? Yeah, so at least you aren't this crazy. To the normal people who are watching this after it's published. I know there's nothing I said that I don't feel good about. I don't think that I was being mean or unfair in any way, but it does get in my head when people start saying stuff like that. You think about it, and you wonder, do I deserve this? And that's the bottom line. No, you don't. Excuse me. An incident regarding two girls, and they're the only two who know what happened. Melanie Martinez and Timothy Heller just recently came back up. Timothy Heller accused Melanie Martinez of raping her a few years ago. And, no, Cheryl is not Dave. Cheryl is a completely normal person who is just nothing but kind and supportive and has never done anything to make me uncomfortable. So anyway, Melanie Martinez is a singer, and Timothy Heller, they're both girls. I know that the name Timothy may make her sound like she's a boy, but she's not. It's just an unusual name for a girl. But anyway, they had this one night where they, I guess, slept together. Something happened, and they both disagree on exactly how things went down that night. But they're the only two people in the world who actually know for sure what happened. And Timothy decided to make this big statement, basically starting a hate campaign against this big popular singer, Melanie, who objectively has made people's lives better with her music. People relate to the lyrics, people have been, you know, had their lives improved by supporting her. And she always has positive messages in her music. You can tell that she is growing and evolving as a person. Um, and there's no doubt in my mind that what she is doing in the world is making things better and not worse. And I've always believed that. But then Timothy comes out with this story, and she didn't specifically say, go hate on Melanie Martinez, but she did say, Melanie Martinez is a rapist. And you can do the math. You know, you understand the implications of saying something like that, right? So, that there's no denying that you understand saying something like that is going to result in people attacking. She knew what she was doing. That's what she wanted to happen. When she did it, it was coming from a place of hatred, and she was just trying to jump on the Me Too movement. It was back in like 2017, and she was hoping that it might inspire other people to come forward. She was hoping that it would have a positive impact. I think she was also hoping that it would get her some attention and hoping that it would be positive and supportive, but because she just figured, oh, it's fine, I'll just come on and I'll tell this story and, and it'll happen. But, then Melanie came in, she said, in her original statement, she claimed very explicitly to have said the word no multiple times. And then Melanie came out with a statement and said, she never said no to what we chose to do together. So she acknowledged that something happened, but that the word no was never used. And then Timothy basically admitted that. So she just came out recently and put out another video statement, basically just saying that she's received an insane amount of hatred and was basically bullied off the internet, which is completely unfair and never should have happened. But she kind of brought it on herself when she started to speak out about this. She was the one who started a hate campaign. She was the one who tried to ruin someone's reputation and tried to act like a victim, and then she was turned into a victim, and she didn't deserve the hatred that she got. No one deserves that. I will stand by that statement. But she can't act like it's Melanie's fault. Melanie was just minding her own business, and then out of nowhere, she was met with this horrible accusation, which actually did result in a lot of negative, uh, press for Melanie. There are still people who jokingly call her Felony Martinez, which just shows you how seriously people take rape accusations, and just leave hateful reviews on her albums and stuff, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that bad because she is still extremely successful. Hundreds of millions of streams and YouTube views on her music videos and everything. Super, super successful. But she didn't necessarily have to be. During the time when this was happening, people were not on her side. People were really stopping supporting her. She had to turn off the comments on all her old videos. And she obviously, I saw videos of people burning her merchandise and stuff like that, which is just insane. Like, don't do that. That's just wasteful, if nothing else. It's like just not good for the environment. There's a million reasons that's just insanely stupid, but people do stupid shit. So it was a legitimate problem. And, when you have people hating you that much, even if it's like in the scheme of things, it's like, oh, you're still successful, it still takes a toll on your mental health. It's still not fun to experience. And like I said, I experienced this last year after I made that video, so I know what it's like. Yeah, I had 35,000 views, but it was mostly hate. So it's, and it didn't amount to anything. So it's not fun to experience regardless of the context. And that is what Timothy put Melanie through. And now she's complaining that she had to go through something even worse. And yes, it was worse. Yes, she didn't also have success, but she can't blame Melanie for that. And that's what people are doing. People in the comments are all trying to support her and say, I don't know why people supported Melanie. That's ridiculous. I think she did a really good job in this new video of painting herself as a victim. And I do genuinely sympathize with her because I don't think she deserved the hatred. But I don't think the narrative is accurate. There are pictures of her dressed like Melanie taken from and posted on her social media from around the time this incident supposedly happened. Why would you? I mean, multiple pictures of her like recreating Melanie's pictures. That's obsessive, weird shit. You know, you don't do that with someone who you aren't interested in or obsessed with, who you would, then call your rapist. Clearly, there was some level of misunderstanding there. And, I don't know what happened between them. I don't know what exactly was in everybody's head when it happened. All I know is Melanie does not deserve to have her platform taken from her because she's not using it for anything but positivity. She's constantly supporting the, Gaza and Palestine, constantly posting stuff on Instagram about the genocide that's happening there, and doing a lot of things that I don't see a lot of other celebrities doing. And I relate to her music because I think that you can tell she's growing and evolving as a person. She's very, very intelligent. Very sensitive and kind of similar to me in personality. So I've always been able to understand where she's coming from. And this just doesn't make sense. With Timothy, I don't know what happened. It's their business. She's the one who made it public, and she's trying to act like a victim. You chose to come out with this. Some weird stuff going on with the power right now. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. This is longer than I wanted it to be, and I didn't plan on bringing this up. But I just wanted to, bring this up just as one final... I apologize for all the flickering. I was informed of some kind of a power outage situation that's like local or nationwide or something. There's something going on with power, and I'm not sure if that's why this keeps happening. The light keeps flickering, but I'm going to wrap this up. So, just an example of how it makes such a huge impact when we try to get people rallied up and hateful. She could have come on and just said, I don't think I deserve hatred. I hope that I can be welcomed back onto the internet. But instead, she's still trying to send hate Melanie's way, which I don't think is going to be very effective now. It's a little bit too late. Melanie, I think, is just too successful. But I do think that this might be big enough that she might have to speak on it. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on that. Since, people may be talking about it, it is topical and relevant. And, yeah, so... Is there anything else I want to say? Basically, it's a lot. It's stressful to receive hate, and I think that is the worst form of parasocial. So, just keep this in mind in the future, and let me check comments and see. Are you this mean to everyone in your life? Clearly not, dude. I'm not even mean to you. I'm literally just telling you the truth. You need help. Go get therapy. Go, check yourself into a fucking home or something. You seriously, look at your behavior. You just sit around in a basement somewhere, probably in your parents' basement, or I don't know. Supposedly Dave lives in a condo that his parents bought for him. I don't know if that's true, but you whatever you do, you just sit around watching people on YouTube all day, 24/7, from 15, 20 different freaking accounts. You are nasty to people. The real dreadlock boy. Well, there's another one. Good Lord, that's a different account now? Oh my God. So we've got 3 different Dave accounts in this one video alone. You are pretty nasty to people. Oh my God. I'm back in my apartment with electricity. Happy to see you. Oh, that's good, Cheryl. Okay. Tristan is the nicest person. Thank you, Cheryl. That actually tracks, That's why I know these other comments are Dave, because he doesn't like that I'm calling him out. He doesn't like that I'm telling him he needs help. He is severely mentally ill, and, that's all I'm saying. It is the truth, and based on your own behavior, you should be well aware of this. I don't know how you can call me mean for pointing that out, but there you go. Everyone's Dave. Yeah, everyone is Dave. There's 4 people here. Only one of them is not you. Cheryl is the only person who isn't you. I wish I had your real name so I wouldn't have to keep calling you Dave, because the name Dave means so little to me now that I know how many fake accounts you have and how many fake names you have. You know, Dave is just one of many names. You know, I have no idea what you really look like or what your real name is. I have no idea how old you really are or where you really live. This is like an infestation. Yeah, Dave seriously needs help, Cheryl. It's insane. I'm gonna go, though, you know, and to the person behind all of these accounts, the person who, you know, tried to catfish me, I don't hate you. I'm not being mean to you, but you really need some serious professional help. And I really hope that you get it. I hope that if you don't seek it yourself, someone who loves you in your life finds out what you've been doing with your time and intervenes. You need some kind of intervention. And I really want you to leave me alone. Get away from me. Stop watching my channel. Stop commenting on my videos. And I'm making an exception for this video because it is relevant. You know, it is a parasocial relationship. You have a ton of parasocial relationships with a ton of different YouTubers, and none of them know who you are because you don't put yourself out there. Nobody knows your real name, your identity of any way, shape, or form. So it is objectively parasocial. It's one-sided for everybody that you talk to. But it's also unfair because they're putting themselves out there. But yeah, there's too many Daves. I'll be Dave also. Mason Camden. Oh, God. Yeah, Zach has a character named Nanny Toots, which is really funny. Mason Camden. I really need to start making a list of all these accounts he has. So this is getting nuts. Anyway, thank you, Cheryl and Zach, for tuning in. Dave, fuck you and fuck off. I hope I never see you and hear from you again. But I know I will because you're obsessed with me for some fucking reason. So have a good night, and I will see you on Sunday. Nanny Toots is coming. I gotta go. Oh, by the way, I might not be able to make Sunday live, so if I post if it's a premiere, I apologize. It's just not good timing.